Welcome to In Her Voice, a podcast created for women who listen to and live by their deepest wisdom, their inner voice. This was made for you, the woman who feels pulled to more, to lead, to create, to dream, and to be a world changer. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am an inner voice coach. Join me here each week as we explore what it means to reach for your inspired potential, all while honoring your worthiness each and every day. Hello, this is Kelly, and you are listening to In Her Voice. Thank you so much for being here today. I have an amazing interview that I cannot wait to share with you with my good friend, Lisa Carpenter. We are talking today about deep trust, commitment, and integrity. And you know, when you hear those words, a lot of times you think of them in relationship to other people, that you want other people to trust you, that you want to be committed to other people. But really, this episode today is about finding those things, trust, commitment, and integrity for yourself, for the way that you're showing up in your being. And it is just, I just am loving this episode so much. And I know you guys are going to love it too, because Lisa speaks our language. You know what I mean? She speaks our language. Before we get to the interview, I want to let you guys know that I have another 5 days of journaling challenge starting May 19th. We're going to do it live. We're going to do inspired potential again. And the reason why is it was so good last time. And I feel like it's one of those kind of challenges. It's one of those kind of topics that the more we dig in, the more we find. But of course, aren't so many topics like that, as we know on this podcast. The good stuff just keeps on coming. So I would love for you to join me in doing this 5 days of journaling challenge. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to kellycovert.com/journal, put in your name and your email, and you are in. And I cannot wait to get started. You're going to get daily prompts for journaling. We're going to do a daily live on Facebook and Instagram. And it's really going to be about taking the time for you to dig in to a practice that's going to help you be connected to your inner voice. And when we're connected to our inner voice, that's when we have access to our power. And our power is what our inspired potential is. And so I want you guys to give yourselves the opportunity to connect with this great power and really feel like you have clarity around where you want to be going in your life. How do you want to be showing up in this world? What are the changes that you want to make in your life and in the world around you? Do you want to start feeling excited about your life every day instead of feeling like you just are surviving? That's what this is about. So head on over to kellycovert.com/journal, and the live link is right in your podcast app that you're listening to. You can click right through, put your name and your email in, and we will get started on May 19th. So now let me tell you a little bit about Lisa. Lisa Carpenter is the secret weapon for driven, ambitious achievers who want to live, lead, and perform at their highest level. With nearly 20 years of coaching experience and an extensive background in nutrition and fitness, Lisa brings a unique combination of coaching to her clients, helping them claim a relationship in their lives, businesses, or bodies free of stress, struggle, and frustration. Doesn't that sound great? Yeah, who doesn't want that, right? She's the creator of Eat and Feelings and Food, her signature online weight loss and mindset programs, and also the author of the best-selling Amazon book, Let's Eat. Lisa is a loving wife and proud mother of 3 boys, and she and her family live in British Columbia. And I just want to, a side note here, Lisa has a lot of experience in weight loss and mindset, but we're not talking about weight loss today, you guys. This is so much deeper. This is about how we are showing up for ourselves. So many of us can show up for others, and we do endlessly. How are you showing up for yourself? So let's get right to the interview. It's so good. Lisa Carpenter, I'm so excited to welcome you to In Her Voice.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning, Kelly.
Of course, of course. And it's funny because you say this morning and it's 3:00 here. Lisa's all the way over on the West Coast. And it took me a couple of tries to get the time right because I am time zone challenged.
Oh, and like daylight savings time is coming too, which adds just a whole other conundrum to this whole managing time zones.
I think East Coasters generally just think that everyone's on our time zone, and
I would agree.
Yeah, like that's my experience in working with people who aren't. That just, you just figure it out. I tell you what time available. And so when I have to do it, I always get it backwards or something. Anyway, so glad to have you. And we're talking today about something that has been coming up over and over and over again for me. And I'm so excited to dive deep into this. And it is integrity, trust, and commitment to yourself. And I love that you call all of these things full frontal living. Can you talk to us about that? Like, I want to hear more about that.
Full frontal living. Yes, I know, because people are like, what is that all about? Full frontal living is really about being 100% committed to showing up for yourself without using numbing or avoiding behaviors. And it really helps the women that I work with step into next level impact and influence because they have put their physical and emotional well-being as their number one priority, which people are like, what? What do you mean number one priority? It means that you matter first in your own life. That's really what full frontal living is all about.
So you said people are 100% committed to showing up for themselves without using numbing. What do you mean by that?
So numbing behaviors can look a lot of different ways, from overeating, overdrinking, overexercising, overworking, but they can also show up in behaviors like people pleasing, controlling, approval seeking, caretaking. So we have lots of different ways that we use to kind of numb out feeling what we're feeling. And I think one of the biggest ones plaguing most of us right now is social media. Hours scrolling mindlessly, right? So that we don't have to connect in with what's going on in our real lives.
Yeah, and it's so easy just to get into that mindless zone
100%.
Where hours pass. I mean, I raise my hand up. I've been guilty of that. But also I try to be very aware of when I start to get into that cycle and like pop myself out of it because I don't like the way it makes me feel at all.
No, I actually have taken even bigger strides in terms of what I call lifting my head up and being in my life, because life isn't happening behind our screens. And I spend a significant time behind my screen because I am an online entrepreneur. So I'm doing all my coaching there. But social media, this belief that I'm going to miss out on something, because that's really what it's driven by, lack and scarcity, right? I'm going to miss out on something. I'm not missing out on anything. So Facebook no longer lives on my phone. I've put intentional time and boundaries around when I go on it. And I'm very specific about where I'm going and where I'm contributing, because it's not even that I don't have the time. I don't want to make the time anymore for endless scrolling. I want more time in my life spent with my family, reading, listening to music, doing things that actually make me feel alive and connected to myself. And that is really the premise of what full frontal living is about. It's about really embracing our lives.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that I think is interesting is when you listed the list of numbing activities, some of those seem to be not so bad. Controlling, not controlling, that seems bad. Caretaking, that was the one that I was thinking of, and working out and working hard. And I think in our society, we've gotten mixed up a little bit about what is important.
I agree. So here's the thing. We don't want to live in a society where nobody cares about each other. would be a pretty horrible place to live. However, when we're looking at these different behaviors, what I like to consider is how high is the volume turned up on these things. So in my life, caretaking, the volume was like turned up to 20, right? And a healthy volume would be, say, 10 or 6. So it was really looking at caretaking, how I was spending so much time taking care of everybody else that I would basically put my place into this, myself, sorry, I'm tripping over my tongue this morning because it's only noon, you know. I would basically put myself into this place of not having time to take care of myself and being a martyr. Right. So It was like a badge of honor. But look at all the people I took care of. Oh, but I don't have time to take care of myself. I'm so exhausted now. So, and when we caretake other people excessively, we actually rob them of being able to show up for themselves in a powerful way. So often our overhelping helps them to underfunction. But we get something out of it because look at us, how much we can function more than anybody else in the world, right? Like the world wouldn't get by without us. Working out, yes, is healthy. I want all my clients to move their body. Physical well-being is a big part of my work. But if you're exhausted because you've been doing all the things and then you're beating yourself up because you still have to go to the gym, is it really what you need to feel your best? Or would be going to bed earlier being better for you? And so many women, let's be honest, so many women, their workouts are not about nurturing their body. Their workouts are punishment for what they did or didn't eat or how they do or don't look. So it's really checking in with what's driving the activity and how high the volume is turned up on why you're doing what you're doing. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I like the idea of that volume because if you think of it in a way of that, our total possible volume that we have on our life is 100. So if you're turning the volume up too high on some things, you're going to have to sacrifice in other areas. And typically where we sacrifice is in taking care of ourselves.
100%. I see so many women just throw themselves under the bus.
Yeah. Well, and that brings me to the next question. And that is, when people are numbing out, what are they avoiding? What is it? What is the cause of, what are they trying to numb out from, I guess?
So things that we can't be with will run our lives. So we typically numb out feelings that we're having that we don't want to be with, right? So whether we're not feeling good enough or we're not feeling loved or we don't feel like we belong, or we're feeling insecure about something, or maybe we're feeling angry or sad. There's a whole gamut of emotions that we're gifted with as human beings. But so often we have such a hard time being with the quote unquote negative emotions, which there are no negative emotions, but we have such a hard time being with those emotions that this is typically when we go to numbing out. So like I said, for working out, for a lot of women, it's a punishment, not a nurturing thing that they're doing for their body, because they don't feel like their body is good enough, or they're not pretty enough, or they're not slim enough, or they're not fit enough, or they're just not enough, period. So numbing behaviors quite often, almost all the time, cover up this feeling of unworthiness.
Mm-hmm. And that hits my heart, when I hear that, because my listeners know how important that is to me, for every single person that is listening here to know that you are worthy now, not based on what you do or what you haven't done, but just because you are here, because you are alive, because you are breathing, because you're on this earth. And I think that the more we can encourage each other to embrace that, and I think to a certain level, start to, in a loving and gentle way, call people out on it. Because I see women, entrepreneurs, really, really successful coaches and authors who are out there essentially teaching the lie that if you're not working out every day, that you're not keeping a promise to yourself. That if you ever take a break, that you're letting yourself down. And I want to talk with you about what it means to truly trust yourself. How do we get to the point to where we can listen to our inner voice and we can be like, yes, today is a day of rest. I do not need to go to the gym today. I do not need to work today. I can do this and I can still honor who I am and who I'm becoming.
I love this question. I love this conversation because it does take some finesse and some practice. So I just want to say that to your listeners. This takes practice. It really, really does. So I've been working out for the majority of my life. So it's a consistent habit in my life. But it used to really come from this place of pushing, like I had to work out, which, shocker, we don't have to work out. It's a choice. Integrity has become incredibly important to me. And integrity is about doing what you say you're going to do, right? Self-integrity is about doing what you say you're going to do. However, it is so important. My number one priority is staying in integrity with myself around how I'm feeling. That's my number one thing I need to stay in integrity with. So some days that may include working out, and some days it may not include working out. So how I've gotten to this place of trust after, having an experience with burnout from pushing too hard, and how do I stay committed? I know, because I've been working out for so many years, that I'm always going to work out. So if I skip a workout, I don't need to punish myself. I don't need to beat myself up. I make the decision when I wake up in the morning to check in with myself. Did I have a great night's sleep? Am I feeling energetic? Is my bed just super warm and cozy and I just want to stay snuggled up? I make the decision based on what is best for me in that moment. If I just want to stay warm and cozy in my bed, you know what? Some days that's okay to do. But for the most part, I will get up and work out if I've had a great sleep, because I know I'll have a better day if I work out. However, if I wake up and I really haven't had a good night's sleep, or I've have a busy week ahead of me, or I've got a full day worth of calls, it might be in my best interest to stay in bed, and that's okay too. So I've gotten to this place where I deeply trust myself to make a decision. And I think part of it is because I know I can't get it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
right?
So beautiful.
We can't get these decisions wrong. However, it's looking at, if you say you want to be a fitter, healthier version of you, but every day you're staying cozy and warm in your bed, then you really have to go back and check in with yourself and say, like, what am I really committed to? Why do I really want this? Do I need to be getting myself out of bed? It's such a practice between knowing if we're just staying comfortable to stay comfortable, if we're willing to get uncomfortable, and if we're really, really willing to tune in to say, what is it that I really need in this moment? So it can be a little bit confusing, but like I said, it just takes practice.
Mm-hmm. And, the more you listen to your body, to your inner voice, it does get easier.
It does. And ladies, there have been days where I've had like my workout clothes on and my shoes laced, standing in my kitchen. And I'm like, Lisa, you need to go back to bed. And I've literally gotten undressed and gone back to bed, which most people would say, well, you don't do that. You just get in your car and you go and you'll feel better on the other side. But I've been practicing this long enough that I know I actually won't feel better on the side. And that's the story I'm telling myself. I don't need to push through anything just to push. That actually doesn't serve me at all. I know I can do it, but just because I can doesn't mean I should.
Say that again.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Oh, yeah. You guys need to write that down and read it every day. I think that that's so good, because the majority of the ladies who are listening to this are recovering perfectionists, classic overachievers, and my God, we're tired. right? We're tired, and it's okay to rest. And really what I hear you saying, and it's such a small, subtle difference. It's the difference between having a habit of exercising every day and having a habit of honoring our bodies every day.
Right. So like I
And
said, exercise is supposed to be a nurturing thing for your body.
yeah,
So if I'm exhausted and I'm going to work out, am I really nurturing my body?
right. And this is, I mean, we're talking about exercise, right? Because I think that that's an easy example, but this is so much more than that. This is about showing up in the world in a way that honors who we are and who we are becoming, and really giving ourselves, I don't know, the word is not quite coming to me, but giving ourselves exactly what we need in every moment instead of doing what we think we should be doing.
Exactly. You know, I like to say that things we love, we take care of. Things we love, we take care of. So what I call my people in to do is to really check in with themselves and ask, like, is this a loving thing for me right now? And then again, let it go, right? You can't get it right or wrong. It's, you know, when we're in a loving relationship with ourselves, well, let's say you're in a loving relationship, hopefully with your partner. I hope that every now and then you sit down and have a conversation with them and really check in. What's working here and what's not working? I know I do that with my spouse. What's working and what's not working? So that we can make sure that we're meeting each other's needs and meeting our own needs. But so often we don't do that in relationship with ourselves. What's working here and what's not working? So, you know, at the end of the week, I really check in and say, like, okay, I said I wanted to work out this week. Did I get those workouts done? No, I didn't. Okay, well, why didn't I get them done? Oh, because I was tired. Perfect. Great. I honored what I actually really needed. High five. You win this week, Lisa. Right? It's that the courage. That's how you actually build trust, by checking in with yourself on a daily and a weekly basis to really see if you're honoring how you're feeling, if you're staying in integrity with the things you've committed to, and having this conversation with yourself if things didn't quite go as planned. But then seeing if maybe they didn't go as planned, but they went exactly as they needed to go because you actually honored what you needed in the moment.
I love that. You know, it's okay to throw the plan out the window every now and then.
Yes.
Because your inner voice has the plan, and it's not always going to look like your plan, right?
Oh, that is so true.
Right? Yeah. And we were talking before we got on about how I took a quick look at my month and I realized I was literally working every weekend day in the month of March when we're recording this. And I made a very conscious decision to block out some weekdays where I was going to take the whole day off. Because if I do not make that decision consciously and block it out, guess what? I'm going to keep doing the same thing, and I'm going to fill up my day. And then all of a sudden I'm going to go 3 weeks and never have a day off. And I know that that doesn't work for me. I get burnout. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm crabby. I'm not a good mom. I'm not good. I'm not good at anything when I'm like that. And so allowing myself that space and scheduling it in is so important. And that was actually one of my goals for the month of March, was to be really aware of when I needed that time off and block it out.
I love that. You know, rest is a life and business strategy. And I wish more people would get that, because when we do less better, we actually perform at a much higher level. So just pushing to push isn't actually getting you better results, whether it's in your life or your business or at the gym. It doesn't matter. There's countless examples that when we do less better, we achieve much more and it feels better.
So let's talk about commitment, because I think that, I mean, we were kind of talking about this already, but I want to go back. And that's this idea of like, how do we create commitments to ourselves that honor instead of push. I mean, I really think a lot of it is in semantics or perspective, if you will. Like, how do we begin to shift that perspective and still feel successful and still feel like we're accomplishing things and that we're productive?
So commitment can look different to different people. Commitment to me is about the long game. And I'm actually more committed to being consistent, if that makes sense. So I have different commitments that I've made in my business for my goals. I have different commitments that I've made for my health. And it's really about my willingness to be consistent over the long term. But I allow myself flexibility within my commitments, because if I have commitment without flexibility, I'm setting myself up for burnout. So that's not okay for me. So it's letting go of, because often when we commit, we're making a commitment because we're attached to an outcome that we want to achieve.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So I release the attachment to the outcome and when it's going to happen, which allows me to have some flexibility within my commitment.
How do you do that? I mean, how do you release that attachment? I find that to be very difficult. I know my clients really struggle with that. And sometimes I'm good at it and sometimes I'm just really not.
Right. Being attached to the outcome.
Right.
So I create a vision for myself. And what I've had to do, because I used to be, we'll call it a chronic goal chaser, and I always achieved my goals, right? That was the story I told myself. And who doesn't love a story where you always achieve what you want?
Right.
Until I didn't, and it crushed me. I had a really big failed launch in my business, and I didn't even come close to hitting my goals. However, once I got through that and had some perspective, I realized that I actually did crush my goals. They just looked different than how I thought they were going to look. So I still got the outcome I wanted, but it looked completely different. So I had to really unpack why I was so attached to outcomes and why I was so attached to hitting and achieving goals. And I had to ask myself, am I willing to hold a vision and work from my vision, knowing that it's 100% possible, but releasing how or when it's going to happen? And by doing that, I leave room in my life for kind of the magic to unfold. So there is nothing that I'm doing in my life or business that is a hard deadline. Ever. So that's really allowed me to release kind of the attachment to it, because what I've found is that the universe knows better than I do. And if I don't get what I want, it's usually because there's something better that it has in store for me.
100%. I find too that for a long time, I was great at going after goals. But then I started setting goals that weren't mine. And when we set goals that aren't ours, and what I mean by that is, like, you see other people having a goal of a certain income revenue in their business, or of losing a certain amount of weight, or of doing this distance of race, or, you know, whatever the goal is, hitting this, getting this promotion or whatever. And you think, oh, well, I should have goals like that. I should have a goal to have a 6-figure business by next year. I should have a goal to be ripped and cut, you know, by the summer for the bikini body or whatever. But if that isn't your goal, if your heart is not asking you to do that, then it's in the wrong place. Like, you've not set a goal that actually is going to serve you well.
I agree. Because again, you know, if you're setting goals from that place, you're really setting them from a place of, I'm not good enough. Right? Yeah. So the chasing after the goal then becomes this kind of numbing activity.
So that's really interesting that you say that. So even goal setting and taking action towards goals can be a way of numbing out.
high achievers in particular, we tend to get caught in striving, proving, right? When I get there, then I'll be good enough. And this is all happening on an unconscious level. So we set goals based on, like, we literally hang our worthiness on our goals, when our worthiness was never on the line. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in my own past history with goal setting, it was always about that. I just didn't recognize that that's what was happening. So when this launch of mine crashed, that's why I had to redefine everything, because I realized, like, I don't even want a big launch. It's not that I'm anti, excuse me, it's not that I'm anti generating revenue in my business, but I was literally doing these launches because I thought that that's what I should do. And this would be how I would fit in. And I wanted to be part of the multi-six-figure launch club, which I actually don't even care about, right? Like, I'm here to serve my people, and how much money I do or don't make, or how, you know, big a launch I do or don't have is irrelevant. Mm-hmm. So when I released all of that, that's when I really got in alignment with what it was I wanted for myself and my business, how I really wanted to feel. And that's how I got myself back into being able to be committed to my vision and trust myself to just walk the path and let it unfold however it was going to unfold.
I love that so much. And the other piece of it is, when you let go of the attachment to the goal, to the vision, it allows you to be present.
Oh my God, yes.
So instead of always living for that day when, you're here, you're experiencing life in this vibrant, beautiful way that you're missing out on when you're always thinking about that day when, the day that I, you know, lose the weight, the day that I hit that income. That's not what life is about. Life is about now.
I agree. And it's really, you know, every step in the journey. I mean, I could even tell you, Kelly, you know, I had such a vision about how I was going to grow my business and what it was going to look like. Again, the controller in me had to go. You know, that this was how I was going to do it, and it was going to be these courses in this way. And the universe kept saying, like, hey, over here, like, over here is the path. And I was like, no, just let me try one more time. I'm sure I can nail it. Just give me one more chance. And it wasn't until I was willing to release the attachment to how I was going to create my success and how I was going to create my impact that I actually got to do the things I wanted to do.
That is so good, Lisa. It's so good.
And it was so painful in the moment. But,
of course,
you know, like, this is the thing. It doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. But, you know, business is such a journey of personal development. It's really our willingness to let go of everything that isn't serving us.
100%. So in your life right now, what's your inner voice saying to you?
My inner voice is just saying, stay the course. I've set some strong intentions for my business this year, which actually is very much in alignment with me doing less better, which means I don't have a gazillion things planned in my business. You know, before we went live, you said, is there a good time to release this? And I'm like, no, because there's only really one way for people to work with me, and that's not going to change this year. That takes a huge amount of commitment on my part to not deviate from that. Right? Like, to really say, I'm going to do less better this year, and I'm going to have an impact doing that one thing. So my inner voice is just saying, like, just do that one thing, Lisa, and show yourself what's possible when you leave room for magic and when you're willing to really expand into having the universe carry my journey instead of me trying to, you know, roll the boulder up the hill again.
Yeah, lug it around on your back.
Right.
That's not required.
No.
And it feels so good when you lay it down. You guys, it feels
It really
so good when you lay it down. Lisa, why don't you let everyone know how they can connect with you more? You have great content over on Instagram, which is my favorite. So how can people follow you and all of that good stuff?
It is my favorite too, Instagram. Do you know why? Because for us high achieving folks, we can go in, we can follow the people we want to, and then we can get out. We don't have to scroll through a bunch of crap, aka Facebook. So the best place to find me is over on Instagram, and I think it's Lisa Carpenter Inc. is my handle. I'm also going to be launching I'm just waiting for my iTunes approval for the Full Frontal Living podcast, where I'm giving myself permission to just show up and talk about whatever I want to talk about. So you're more than welcome to join me and listen there. You can find me on Facebook, or you can just head over to my website at lisacarpenter.ca, because I'm proudly Canadian.
Yeah. Hey, if you couldn't tell by your accent. We'll put all of the links to all of those things in the show notes and in the podcast app that you guys are listening to, and including the link to subscribe to the podcast, because I think by the time this comes out, your podcast will be live, which is exciting.
It should be. It's actually live on Anchor right now, but I haven't talked about it because I'm waiting for it to go live on all the platforms.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
It's exciting.
Well, be sure to send us a link over and we can get that on there.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Lisa, I just want to honor you right now. I want to honor the courage that it takes to do less better. That is so inspiring to me. And I'm just going to take that nugget and I'm going to just let it roll around in my mind and in my heart for the rest of the week, because it is so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. And thank you to all your listeners for tuning in and allowing me to be a guest here. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you.
If you guys love this interview and you want more from Lisa, I want to encourage you to check out her podcast. It's pretty new. I think she has about 15 episodes of the Full Frontal Living podcast, and I'm sure that she has links to that on her website, and all of those you can find right in the show notes as well. I have been listening to a few. They're quick episodes of just her thoughts and her wisdom, and I've really been loving it. So I encourage you to go check that out. Also, don't forget, 5 days of journaling begins May 19th. Head on over to kellycover.com/journal to sign up for free and really make a commitment to yourself to practice listening to your inner voice. It makes so much difference in your life, I promise. As always, I want to remind you, we need you. We need you living in a way that you are trusting yourself, that you are living in integrity, that you are committed to being fully and wonderfully you. You are worthy.